Hey everyone, welcome back to the JumpCut Play YouTube channel. Sam here again, and before we dive into today's video, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to a clothing company called Respawn Clothing. Now, this isn't a sponsored message or anything like that, it's just something that I'm quite passionate about. If you're like me, you wear a lot of t-shirts with graphic designs and stuff to do with things you like. It's as simple as that. And Respawn Clothing did an amazing Matrix drop recently. They had a Path of Neo tee. It's got an awesome design on the back. That's got one of the adverts from when the game came out. They did a Trinity tee with a quote from the first film, and they did a Smith's parody shirt as well. And there'll be pictures of all this on the screen. I think there's some leftovers at the time of this video coming out. However, if there's nothing remaining from the Matrix drop, fret not, because if you're a fan of the Soulsborne genre, Danny is cooking up a Sekiro and Bloodborne drop to come soon, and I'm very excited for that personally. But like I say, I just wanted to spread the word about this. The link will be in the description below. Check it out and enjoy the rest of the video.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I have the Elden boys here with me today because we're going to be talking about Elden Ring. It's been a very Elden weekend. I'm just for all things Elden, but I've got Sam and Kyle with me today. How have you been getting on with this big ass game?
Pretty Elden.
Pretty Elden, yeah.
Feeling pretty Elden, to be honest. Yeah, so like obviously the game came out. I wasn't going to touch the game. I've been probably shitting on it on this very channel for months, and dropped into it this weekend. I've sunk about 12 hours into the game now. How about you, Sam? How many? Do you know how many hours you're at?
I think as of last night, I'm about 15. So
15. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah.
Just hit the 8 mark, I think.
Bloody weak, my guy.
I still kill more bosses than both of you, though, I bet.
But yeah, no, so I add someone like a bit of like context to our relationships with the Dark Souls series or the From Software games. I despise these games. Dark Souls, I think's terrible. Bloodborne's even worse. I think what was it? I kind of like Sekiro a little bit. I would have probably stuck that out a little bit more had I was borrowing it off of someone, then they asked for it back. Never touched it again. But the only reason I even came across the Dark Souls series at all was because I literally was sitting in the house one night and I was like, I want to get a game where you fight big monsters. And like, that is literally like, I had an urge to play a game with big monsters. I typed that in Google, games with big monsters. Dark Souls 2 had just come out, so I picked that up. And I was like, I played that game for 30 hours. I barely got beyond the opening level. Obviously, say what you will about me and my gamer skills, but I just hated it so much. And then I've tried 10 hours out of Bloodborne, probably 10 or so hours out of Sekiro. Didn't touch Dark Souls 3, and I probably about 12 hours ish of Demon Souls as well. So yeah, like wasn't the biggest fan of these, and not really like was really not interested in Elden Ring at all. What about you guys?
Well, I've like I had a love and hate relationship with Dark Souls at first. Like the first time I played it, I hated it, and then like a couple months later, it was just before the remaster was coming out. I bought it on PS3, played it again, and like something just clicked, and I just like fell in love with it. And then my friends bought me for my birthday that year the remastered edition. That's the one that I played, and I've completed it twice now. And then since then, I've played Dark Souls 2, and it's fine. There's something about that game that quite feel right. And then Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne and Sekiro and whatnot. But like, yeah, just fell in love with these games, and I've been looking forward to Elden Ring. I was trying to be cautious, but I didn't want to get too hyped because I really like Dark Souls 1, and I was hoping this would like kind of dive into that kind of vibe, and thankfully it has, and we'll get more into that.
What about you, Kyle?
I played Dark Souls 1. I can't remember when. I have a feeling it was like maybe free on the Xbox 360 games with gold once. That rings a bell. And I don't know if that was the first time I played it or maybe I picked it up before. I'm going to say it was that. And I really enjoyed, I don't know what it was I enjoyed about it because it was so long ago, but I remember really enjoying the way the world was interlinked with each other. I remember getting far. I was like, oh my God, that's a shortcut to an area from before. And I really enjoyed that. And then the like last quarter of Dark Souls really lost me, and I had to cheese my way through it. Basically, everything after, well, I guess like Ornstein's like the midpoint, so it wasn't quite there. It was a bit after that. I was just like, I can't be arsed. I feel like I'd done everything wrong, so I just like started spamming fireballs at everyone. And that was pretty much it for Dark Souls. Didn't play 2, Didn't play 3. Really liked Bloodborne until again I feel like I hit a point in Bloodborne where I just got completely lost because I took some time off it, and I was like, I'm not starting again because I put like 30 hours into it and I don't know where I'm going. Plus there was a giant spider boss which gave me the fear. So that got binned, and then that was it. I didn't play Sekiro. I kept wanting to play it, but I didn't do it. And I was not on the Elden Ring hype train until 2 days before. I pre-ordered it because it came up on hot UK deals. It was like £38. I was like, oh, it's worth a punt.
So did you pre-ordered it just the day before? I thought you had yours.
No. I pre-ordered it about 6 months ago, but I literally just because it was a good price. I was like, I don't have any interest, no interest in it at all. I knew what it was. I just knew it was George R. R. Martin and From Software, but I had literally no interest until the reviews came out, and I was like, oh,
that was lucky that you put in that pre-order, and then that's
it's sold out everywhere. I would never have got it.
That's the only reason I ended up getting Horizon, is because I was like, I'm really not interested in this game, and then all of a sudden saw it come up for 40 quid, and I was like,
well, it was like, because I mean, it's going to be good reviews because they always get good reviews, but it was just the sheer amount of them and like the praise it was getting. I was like, all right, let's see what's going on here then.
Yeah, I gotta say, so like, I mean, I'm a major advocate for for just being like, anytime anyone says anything's good, I'm like, well, no, I need to check it out. And then of course it drops, the review embargo drops, and it's like the biggest list of 10 out of 10 you've ever seen. Everyone's going on about this is the best game that's ever happened to the existence of the world. And that literally for me was like enough. It was just partly again saying about Horizon, like I wouldn't I think even have bought it at all had it not get the good reviews. So like I see the good reviews and I think, well, I gotta go in there and see for myself. I'm gonna prove that this is not a 10 out of 10. And really, like, even when I started the game, I had literally no intention from when I started the game to put any significant amount of time into it. I just started the game and I was like, I'll see where it goes, and then I can say, oh yeah, it's another Souls game like that I'm just getting no interest in. But that didn't happen, guys. I'm pretty hooked on it. I gotta say, I think I really, really like it. And my case for this game and why I think it works for me is purely because it's an open world. And like, anyone that knows my taste in games knows I love a wee open world, or a big open world, I suppose. I love all that kind of stuff. And with Elden Ring, like in comparison to the old, like the Souls games, I just had a major hassle with like the linearness, let's see, of those games, because it forces you to go through things. It forces you to do like confront these bosses, and that's where I just felt like I was hitting a wall with the game, where it's like, I'm not good enough for this. I feel like I needed time to go away, do something else, and come back and then be better. But it's just like, nah, you need to go this way, so you need to fight this boss. And that's just kind of where it puts me off every single time. Whereas this, not just for the fact it's an open world and you can go wherever you want, but it's the fact that it's also so aimless. Like, it's just, here's a big ass world, cool, that's it. Like, that's about all the fucking game says to you. You have those the grace sites that sort of get like, go in this direction, really, if you want to follow. And I love the fact that that's all it is. And I love that I actually so far really like that there's not like a quest log or anything like that, because I find that it just makes me go, well, actually, like, so often when I'm playing one of these games and I hear like a side quest that catches my interest, I'll just be like, oh, you know what? I'll check that out later. I'll like kind of, and then you never do. Whereas like now I feel like I'm going, oh, well, that's come up now. I'll never see this again if I leave right now. I'm just going to go and check this out and see what happens. And then you discover a new area, find a new enemy type, all of that stuff just working together is just like so cool.
I feel like if it had a quest log, it'd be too overwhelming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like it'd be so off-putting if like you had this log of like, oh, you've just been to this dungeon, there's this thing to collect, and I've just been to this area, and there's that thing to do. Like you said, I think this works best because you can do it any way you want. You can skip large sections of the game if you really want to. I mean, there's the main story bosses, and there is like parameters you have to do to progress in that regard, but like the main game is just level up and figure out how you want to do it.
And I like how it links it into the fact, like I was saying, the problem I had with the previous games is that you can go away. It's like I choose to go and explore other areas because I'm fighting a boss and I maybe think I need to make this a little bit easier for myself. I'm going to go farm some runes, level up my gear, and my strength and all this sort of stuff. Find some extra stuff, come back, and then now this fight's just way easier. But what is your initial impression, Kyle?
I think starting with the open world, that's probably a good place to get. It's hard to collate your thoughts on this because I feel like there's a lot going on. Because I don't think when I first started it as well, because like I said, I knew nothing about it. I didn't even really. I mean, I knew it was going to play like a Souls game, but I didn't know to what extent. I started as like, oh, it literally is a Souls game. Like the HUD's the same, like all of it is the same. Which at first I was like, well, that seems a bit of a detriment. And I think maybe you could make the argument that it does seem a bit like, okay, they've just copy and pasted. I mean, I didn't play Sekiro, so I don't know if that was the same deal with that, but it does, a lot of the assets do seem carried over. But in thinking back to like the first Dark Souls, like when you get stuck, although there maybe are different places like you can go fight that boss or this boss at this point, it's like if you're stuck, go farm, souls. I mean, and I'm talking to someone who was pretty shit at the game. Obviously you get people who just go in and parry every move and they're done in 3 seconds. Whereas this game, like, yeah, you're going to farm runes, but that's not really what your objective is. Like when I got to that first boss, which I think the reason that first boss is becoming pretty infamous for how difficult it is because it wants you to not fight it yet. At least that's what I'm getting from it. Like, you got this boss, you're like, fuck this is impossible. So you just go in a different direction. That's when you end up, the weird green goblin thing that's probably just as hard, to be honest, on your own. But you go in this, like, I think I got to the boss probably an hour in and it's been like 6 hours. I went back to him, eventually defeated him, and then I've not even went to the next part of the story. I was like, okay, I'm going to go see what's at the bottom part of the map now. And it's conflicting with like everything I know about open world games, because in my mind it's like, where's that quest log? Where's the checklist? Where's the collect this 1 out of 4,000? And I was scared because I don't really like. I mean, I enjoy Zelda Breath of the Wild, but the open world of that to me is so daunting in the fact it doesn't really tell you what to do other than here are the 4 bosses in Zelda, go do what you want. Whereas this, there seems to be even more so like that, but I feel like it's just really hard to explain because you get into an area and it still has that Dark Souls level design of like a bit of linearity, but it's contextualized in an open world. So it's like you don't go into an area and then it's another massive area. It's like a castle that feels like a small Dark Souls level. You finish with it and then you make your way back out and then you move on to the next thing. And then like what you were saying with the quests and stuff, like the marker system it has you use. Like I saw, as a Jason Schreider says, you play this game with a journal. It's hard to kind of disagree with him. Like I feel like I need to keep notes. Like, okay, I walked past them. Either I come do that now or I'm going to forget because they just talk to you for like 2 seconds. Like, okay, it's something about a castle. I'll do it later. You won't go back because you'll forget. So, okay, marker there. I'll come to that later. It's just, I could ramble on for ages, but then going off of that, I can't remember the last time, like, I mean, a couple of my friends who I never thought would be interested in this were sitting, not you, because I know you guys are gamers, but they were playing it and giving each other tips. And I was like, I've just never hit, it feels like old school, the way we were talking to each other. Like, oh, have you got this gold seed at the tree down in Craigsmore Castle? I'm like, this, like, somebody that doesn't know what this is, this sounds insane. So, and again, this is only the first, I have no idea what's outside of the first area. So, yes, first impressions, it's overwhelmingly vast so far.
What do you guys then think of the whole comparison to Breath of the Wild? Because for me personally, like, I despise that it's constantly like, I get it to a degree, but I also hate. I'm one of those guys, like, I just don't get why Breath of the Wild is held as like the gold standard of open world games.
I've never played it.
Good boy.
I guess like it's just because I think it goes against the norm of an open world with check. And they said this about Horizon Zero Dawn, but before I played that, like, oh, it completely changes open world. And then I played it, I was like, right, well, it's the same shit. There's just check markers everywhere of like quests and stuff. So I didn't understand. Whereas I get with Breath of the Wild, it is open world, and like that's it. There's like maybe a couple waypoints. That's where I see the comparison of there's no waypoints and stuff.
Yeah, what I'd say then is like the major, because I did enjoy Breath of the Wild, but like what I would say is kind of the main thing is that like this world is just really interesting. You're constantly finding things. I feel like the details are just like you can read into this place and the lore's just like right there. and you maybe can like figure things out just through the environmental storytelling on its own. Whereas like Breath of the Wild to me just felt like, here's a green field, here's a lava bit, here's a bit by the sea, and like that's really all you're getting, and it's like the same kind of camp spaced about. There's nothing really. It's just open plains. Whereas like this last night, me and Sam, after you left, we were playing, and we get to this point where it's like a flooded, misty, like district that's got like a bit of forest. You get into a flooded village, and it was just so cool, and it felt so real to me as well, because it was advancing from like a ruins area to then like the trees start to fade away, and then you've seen the tips of the roofs coming out of the water, and then it advances up to a big building over here or a castle over there, and it all just felt so natural and really fun, where like every time I stumbled across somewhere, I'm like, wow, this looks really cool, and I'm really interested to explore this as well, which is why I think the lack of the quest works, because I feel like there's no like curiosity in a lot of open world games, because just by like maybe the markers or the whatever, like you already kind of know what's there. Like it's the thing where it's like the question marks in some open world games are like, oh, there's a mystery here, and I'm like, well, I don't want that. Like I want to stumble across a mystery. I don't want to just be told there's a mystery here, go to that mystery. Although like I can be guilty of enjoying games like that. But I'm just really liking that, in the sense that it feels like the kind of game that I could easily just spend a lot of time in, like taking my time, going from here, going from there, and then focusing on the bosses if I want. Like there's no real urgency about it in a way that I'm really enjoying, I think. And also we have to talk about a bit of co-op. I'm a big co-op boy. I love myself some cooperative play. And last night with us three playing, it was one of the funniest co-op experiences I've had in such a long time.
Right, it's this way. Are you looking to go to the Stormvale cliffside? It's this way.
No!
Oh my god, right. Oh my god.
It's a little bit complicated to start, and like we were having some issues, Sam, where like your sign wasn't showing up. But it wasn't the kind of game that I ever expected to play in co-op and just be having such a fun time with it as well. What did you guys think of the co-op?
I'll let you take co-op first, Sam.
I was just gonna say, like we were saying last night, compared to like Dark Souls 1 and the other iterations, it's so much easier to do co-op this time around. Like in the other games, you had to be human first before you could see people's summon signs, and then you had to faff about getting different materials and stuff before you could like put a summon sign down and whatnot. And there's still a little bit of that here with the crafting system, but it's far more flexible, like to be able to do that. Now, like, literally last night, you two could just go to this location, pop it down, summoned, boom, then we're off. So much easier. And I think when they were speaking about this game before it came out, and they said it was a bit more accessible or approachable rather to get into it, I think they meant it in that way, because I still think the bosses and stuff like that are solid as nails, like so hard, but I think the way the game lets you approach things and has the co-op options like more available, that's the easier aspect I think they're speaking of. I think the co-op's great. I can't wait to play more of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you as well. I remember Dark Souls 1, it was just completely random. If you could bring people in and stuff like that, I don't think I ever tried bringing a friend in because it just seemed insane. And there's definitely part of that. It's one of those things that like once you get it explained to you, it makes sense, which is weird. Like, because I know you should just be like, why is it not just like you invite somebody in? And I get it, but also there's something about the way it's done that is kind of that I really like about it. I like and it helps that it's on the PS5 as well, and the really fast loading times. The fact I can be in another part of the map doing something else, and then like if one of you is like, oh, I'm really struggling on this boss, or you just want to join for a bit, like let me fast travel, because the fast travel is really fast as well. It's pretty rapid, and then like you've got to find. I get like, because when I was trying to explain it to my other mates, like, well, this makes no sense. I'm like, just do it, and then you'll get the hang of it. And it is kind of like once you get it once, it's stupid, and you're still having to do like setting passwords and putting signs down, make sure I think the hardest part to get past with the co-op is when you get to those grey barriers, because you're in like why is this a thing? Why do I have to leave and come back? because
yeah.
clearly the co-op it seems like it's at odds with itself because the co-op is also designed like, if you need help in a specific area, call for help. But it is also seems like it's leaning into the fact like this game is really fun with two friends. It's I agree with you. It's just some of the most fun I've had in co-op in ages, and that is still I did not expect. I thought it was just going to be shit and overly complicated and wouldn't work, and
Yeah,
it
it's
has got
just-
part of that. But
It's just one of those games as well that like just isn't purpose made for co-op, but just works so well. Partly because of it, I think, because some games just seem so focused on the co-op aspect that it just no one really plays it that way. Whereas like when we're playing together, maybe someone was like drawing an enemy out and one was going behind, because like it is so tough in that way. Like if you die and if I'm the host and I die, everyone's kicked, or if you die, you're out and I'm going to have to wait till I beat somebody and summon you back in again. And the PS5 thing, I think it's super important because Bloodborne drove me mad with that whole you die and you've got best part of a minute of just loading screens and you go and you die like in 20 seconds again. And that was part of the thing is I just could not deal with that. Whereas here it's like maybe 10 seconds at a push most of the time. And it just makes it, you go, oh, right, okay. It's a learning experience. I'll go back and I'll try again.
yeah,
So like that was so much better to me because the previous games just seemed to me like they were just trying to annoy you and trying to be like, yeah, back out, mate. You're not good enough for this game. Spit in your face. That's what it felt like to me, the experience with those games where it's just such a niche type of player would actually want to play this. Whereas like I feel like there's the hardcore experience here for some people. There's the, chill exploration part for others. And then the whole co-op thing as well. It's just like, it is far more approachable in a sense. Like it's still, like you're saying though, it is still difficult, but it's just in a far more approachable way in the sense that you could just take a step back and go, right, I'm not doing something right here. Let's go do this. Now I'm back. Now I'm ready. And I'm going to do it in this boss in like 30 seconds. But
yeah, it's like last night we were having turns of beating a boss. That it was like the wolf boss, I think, the one that's in the cave, which now that I've went away for ages is really easy. I did it on my own, and then like a couple of guys like, they did it. Some fucking beast. They did it. And they were like, right, okay, that's me done right now. I'll put down my sign, you join me, and then we'll kill it. They done that right. Right, Grant, it's your turn. You put down your sign. It's like that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but like they were never. I don't know. It's just, they didn't seem bored of it. They never seemed frustrated by it, which it sounds on paper so frustrating that you have to do that. Like there's something like I don't know if it's like charming. I think it plays into like the old school vibe the game has of like talking to your friends on the playground of like, oh, have you seen this item? So I'm kind of inclined to try and at the start I was watching some videos like, okay, well, how I feel like I need to know like what are the systems, because the game I still feel like does a really bad job explaining a lot of the systems to you. And then my friend Andrew at the start, I have no idea where to go. I'm like, well, you left the tutorial area, and then well, there was a guy speaking to me, so I fucking killed him. So, I don't know whatever happened with that. I didn't know you could kill or NPCs. But do you think From Software have any? Do you think they're going to take feedback? Because I've seen a lot of people comment like this is awful co-op. They need to have it so you carry items and stuff like that. Do you think they'd ever be inclined to make it more of a co-op focused mode or just leave it as is? I can't imagine they would change it now. But
like they've been notorious for having games that have just been like you bent at our will, not the other way about.
Yeah.
So I don't see why they're going to stop now. Really.
No, I don't think they're going to change the co-op much. Like we were saying last night, like, oh, you if you die like in the host world, you lose your souls, but like us joining whoever, you get to keep all your gear and stuff. That's the way it's always been. I mean, it's a bit annoying because obviously you want to capitalize on the items aspect. Like when you were getting all them smithing stones last night, Kyle, I was like, I want some smithing stones for my sword, please. But like, there's kind of like a charm in that because like now I've done that area with you two.
Yeah,
I'm
now
going
you
to
can
go back there and gonna do it.
And then I want the smithing stones.
I want them.
Yeah, I just like I feel like I talked for ages, but I just can't believe like I mean us three were on it from for 2 hours, and I went off and I had to do some work, and then a couple of guys were just like on it for another 3 or 4 hours. I can't remember the last time a game captivated me for like 6 hours straight because I'm always hopping between different games. I'm like, okay, I played this for a bit, now I'm going to go play my multiplayer game. I just couldn't stop playing this. Like, and then I woke up today and I was like, I need to find time to play this today because I'm boss and I couldn't beat it for an hour and a half. I was like, right, I'll take a day off, go into it at lunchtime, just kicked his arse. And then, yeah, I mean, again, I think it is definitely more approachable, accessible. I know there's this whole kind of discussion right now. It's like, it's not more accessible. It's the same From Software attitude of, like you were saying, and you have to bend to their will. But it's more approachable in the sense of, like, if you want to make a cheap magic build and make it overpowered early on, I think you can. And if you want to rely, I was like that's also frustrating because I spent so long trying to fight that first main boss. I was like, that took me hours. And then friend Jack's like, oh, come help me. And I was like, no, I'm not fucking helping you. I had to go through the pain. You're not getting my help. You do it. But yeah, can't get enough of it. Class game. It's all right.
Game. Yeah,
It's all right. 6 out of 10.
No, it's a good one, and it's been surprising how much I've liked it, to be honest. So I mean, I went in with zero expectations as well, but even people that say they were really high expectations are being met and, you know, succeeded. And so it's I'm curious to see if I'll manage to stick with it the whole time, because it is a very big world and I'm very notorious for just patching games after a certain amount of time. So we'll see that. But right now, I'm just thinking about it, and I could fit a wee 20 minutes in here. Maybe I can do this now, which I've just not really had in the game for a while. But anyway, we're gonna leave the people with that. Let us know down in the comments below whether you've picked up Elden Ring, what you think of the game, and if you're a first-time player of the Soul series or somebody that's just returning yet again, what do you think about it for both of those perspectives? And as always, like the video if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you loved it. And we'll catch you next time, guys. See ya.